What if we design an ocean farm to heal the entire community? This isn't just about regenerating an ecosystem, it's about living in place. Hi, I'm Tara, your artist at law, and I live on a sailboat where I share ideas about uniting human activity with habitat. And in this video, I'm going to share a time lapse of my art of a restorative ocean farm, discuss what exactly that is, and how any community can tailor this idea to match their needs and values and create a beautiful place where all life thrives. As always, I'm exploring what it means to live with the world as part of nature because we are nature. So, I call these restorative ocean farms instead of regenerative because this isn't about only the ecosystem. This is about creating multiple systems of care that center our habitat, our cultural heritage, and our values. Setting up a regenerative farm on land or sea is one thing, but embedding it as a way of life for the entire community makes it restorative for all life. So, an ecologically regenerative ocean farm is relatively straightforward. It's an underwater polyculture garden of native species that don't swim away and don't need any inputs. In cold water climates, this can include an array of mussels, clams, scallops, oysters, and a variety of seaweeds. And that is what I am painting here. So these farms have a number of direct ecological benefits. First, the bivalves are filter feeders, so they improve water quality. Seaweeds are huge carbon sinks, which the ocean and the rest of us really need right now. They actually absorb more carbon than trees and other vegetation and vegetables and other things we could eat. Kelp can absorb pollution, so we could actually use it to clean up contaminated areas, and it will still test at food grade quality. Not that people would be excited to eat it after that, but still. And of course, this creates a temporary habitat, which has been shown to boost biodiversity, making the entire ecosystem more resilient, and provide habitat for juvenile fish, which can be really important to local fishers. Also, if you put a restorative ocean farm in between a couple marine protected areas, you're going to make them a lot more effective because it's sort of like a partially protected area that's connecting them. So, there are also a lot of cross-ecosystem benefits. Seaweeds can replace fertilizer on farms, as well as be cow feed. And you might be wondering why I'm painting these cows brown instead of the traditional black and white. And that's because I was just reading about farmers in the UK who have essentially foregone the black and white cows that are bred to produce a bunch of milk. And that's because those cows, they have a lot of vet bills and they fall down and they can't get up again because of the breeding. And they're starting to use these sturdier brown cows that it's true they produce a little bit less milk, but the farmers are actually not having to work as hard because they're not worried about the cows so much, and they have a lot lower vet bills. So they're actually making more money from the milk that these cows do produce. And because they're sturdier, hardier cows, at the end of their life, they can have a second source of income from them via meat. So even these small little changes can make a big difference. And this is also why it's extremely important that anytime you set up a regenerative or restorative farm, you're listening to the community needs, because small tweaks like this can make a big difference. And when you feed red seaweed to cows, it reduces their methane emissions. Some studies have shown up to 80%, and California actually just approved a red seaweed supplement for cows for this very purpose. So that's super exciting. Additionally, seaweeds can replace soy in countless foods and other products. Soy is destroying habitats all over the world, in case you didn't know. So that's great. Seaweed's also way healthier for you than soy, just in terms of nutritional value. And these kinds of restorative ocean farms can easily be paired with certain offshore wind farm projects where fish tend to aggregate anyway, so we can help boost some biodiversity out there. Now, when it comes to social and economic benefits, there's also some very low-hanging fruit. Obviously, there's going to be some job creation on land just from needing to process these harvests of mussels and seaweed, etc. And there's also going to be more job security, even for fishers, because if you're a fisher, you really get to diversify your income. So no matter what happens, if it's a bad fishing season, if there's closures, you still are going to have multiple harvests throughout the year from your polyculture underwater garden. And also, fishing a little bit less reduces pressure on the fish, giving them more time to reproduce and grow nice and big. Of course, there's more food security for the community because you have local, super healthy food. And it's not going to be interrupted by any supply chain disruptions like a pandemic or a war or tariffs or, unfortunately, a lot of the things we've been seeing in the world lately. It's also a fantastic opportunity to engage with cultural heritage. Like, all over the world, coastlines seem to have some kind of relationship with seaweed, whether it's the indigenous people of the Pacific Northwest or South Pacific Islanders or the people of the British Isles. There's always this cool history of being with seaweed or gathering razor clams, and for a variety of reasons, it has been forgotten. And this is a way that communities can revive their cultural heritage. And in addition to the food security, I should note seaweeds, also known as sea vegetables, are highly nutritious. They're an excellent source of protein, fiber, and minerals. And then, of course, the mussels, oysters, and clams are a super healthy source of protein. But so the critical element that pushes these regenerative farms into a restorative space is taking a holistic approach. If we consider all of our relationships and have these farms be community-led, we can unite all of the benefits that I just talked about and put them in line with the local culture, the local needs, and the local values. This can mean a bunch of additional sort of systems of care, like business networks between farms on sea and land and restaurants, which will strengthen independent local businesses. And then you can have additional businesses that function with the farm, like green ecotourism. You could have farm tours or like full week retreats where people participate in helping out the harvest on the farm. Like, you could actually have people paying you to work and help you do your job. And then that can go for the land farm as well, because they want to see how the seaweed is used as fertilizer, and they want to see the happy cows eating the seaweed. And then you can have cooking classes, and you can teach about local traditional history and practices on the coastline. it would be a really beautiful way for people to have a meaningful vacation and learn about a different place. And then, of course, you can do farmers markets or annual seafood festivals. And you could also have huge educational opportunities for kids of all ages, right? There could be these hands-on science projects where kids get all of this great experience on the land farm and the ocean farm, and they get to know marine biology, agricultural practices, where our food comes from. Educational programs can be just as creative as the teachers are. They could include like science-specific internships for teens, and then that data that those internships produce can inform the farmers for their next season. Kids could also be engaged in art and hospitality and business internships, all the aspects that make an ocean farm, land farm, restaurant function together. And then, of course, there are other ways to include traditional knowledge and practices that I can't think of because I'm not the one living in that community, but the community will come up with it because they know themselves and they know what they care about. And essentially, this is the goal, right? What makes an ocean farm restorative is that it heals the relationships between the people and their ecosystem, their home, so that all life can thrive.